Hello, and welcome to a very special edition of The Chat. We are here at Camp Low, the Girl Scouts camp here in Savannah, Georgia, and I have some very special guests with me that I would like for them to introduce themselves.
Awesome. Thank you, Abby. This is Chelsea Sawyer with the Chatham Emergency Management Agency. I'm the Emergency Preparedness Manager and a little bit of the brainchild of some of this operation. I'm really excited to be here.
Hello, my name is Tiffany Arant, and I am an Emergency Management Specialist with Chatham County Emergency Management Agency.
Hello, I'm Lorena Kirshner. I'm the Senior Director of Program for the Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia, and I'm the person who helps plan a lot of the fun.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chelsea Simpson, and I am the Director of Advancement and Marketing with Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia.
So thank you guys for introducing yourselves. I want y'all to tell our audience a little bit about a very special project you've been working on called Operation React. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Tell our audience.
Absolutely. So we're talking about Operation React today, Camp Operation React, if I may. This is going to be a week-long camp targeted towards middle school age girls, and it's in partnership between our agencies to really create a hands-on, interactive experience that will expose girls to different career opportunities and skills in emergency management and really triaging disasters, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, Operation React is definitely where our young heroes are going to be coming from. I think the young girls that'll be able to practice things hands-on, learn from professionals in these fields, do it in a really fun and exciting way. Should hopefully spark a lot of interest and grow that next generation of heroes that run towards a fire, not away from one.
This camp will give girls an opportunity to step into the shoes of these different emergency responders, not only during an incident, but what it takes day to day, what they do, and hopefully help them understand that maybe one day they can become a leader as well.
Yeah, to me, it's exactly what Tiffany just said. Making careers in public safety and first responders accessible to young girls. And that's really what we're trying to make happen. I mean, as a young kid, never in a million years would I think that I'd be wearing a shirt that says emergency management, and yet here I sit. So I think that showing them that this is possible from a young age is exactly what we're hoping to do.
Well, Chelsea, I'm curious, where did this idea come from?
Yeah, so this came from sitting down and thinking, how do we get the next generation excited about emergency management, about the science behind hurricanes and what that could look like for our community? There's no changing that. The world is changing, and we are going to have to figure out from this generation forward how we're going to respond to that. So I had this idea that, a lot of other cities, a lot of other states have put together, connecting with one different service, like the fire service or the police department. And I kind of sat back and thought, well, what if we just did all of them at once? And what if we did it here in Savannah? And when you think about Savannah, you think about Girl Scouts. So
True.
Why not, with a new CEO for Girl Scouts, bring them into the fold and make it action-packed and incredible and as fun as possible?
And I know that this camp is happening in the summer, and what is the significance of the date of this camp?
So we chose the week to start this camp off very, very intentionally. So June 1st for us marks the start of hurricane season. I think that gives the girls something to look for where their learning it's something they immediately can apply. They're going to learn skills that they can actually utilize throughout this coming hurricane season. Things that they can take home to share with their families, things that they can share with their community. It gives them more of an idea of, it's something real. It's not something that could happen in the future. It's something that could happen right now. And I think that that's, essentially why June 1st is just the optimal time for us to choose.
Well, and I'd like for our audience to know, kind of like, walk us through each day of this first week in June for Operation React.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So day by day, we really sat down as a team in the emergency management office and said, what do we want them to focus on? As I mentioned earlier, we didn't want to spend all of our time on just one specific area. So we sat down and had to have tough conversations and prioritize those. So day one, we're really focusing on natural disasters. So what happens during a hurricane, during a tornado? More importantly, how are we tracking those? What does that look like for our community? How are we sharing that public message? And then what does the response side of it look like? How are our first responders communicating? They're not using their cell phones, they're using radios. So we're going to teach the girls how to operate a radio. We're going to teach them how to set up a shelter and where we would set up a shelter. How do we send out our public alerting and public messaging so that they know what's happening in the community? All of that is going to be unveiled on the first day. So imagine, that's a heck of a way to kick off our very first day.
Yeah.
So after day one, girls will move into day two, which we are calling our Firefighting and Emergency Medical Services Day. So this day, they will learn anything on how to operate a fire extinguisher. They'll learn how to triage an incident after causing multiple injuries. They'll also learn what it's like to go through an actual fire academy and become a firefighter.
Wow.
And then you have day three. And day three is our emergency preparedness and response. So they'll learn how to prepare not only themselves, but their families for a hurricane or other types of events. They'll learn search and rescue operations actually out in the field, and they'll learn how to track and locate missing people during those. Along with that, they'll learn teamwork and communication. And then when you move into day four, that's your incident management. So this is where a lot of our police operations kind of come into play. So girls will learn what it's like to be on the scene of an incident, the different systems our police officers use to command those different scenes. They'll also learn how to operate a drone. And then they'll learn how to process evidence and do investigations like police officers do day to day.
And then to me, the piece de resistance is day 5, which is a culmination in a giant exercise. So taking all of the information that they're learning throughout the week and then giving them a scenario that will test them unlike anything that they've seen before. We're really excited for different stations for them to work through and be able to put into action everything that they've learned in a very realistic way. So I don't want to give too much away, especially if any of our girls are watching, but this is going to be a pretty incredible experience.
So anyone listening right now that may have a daughter in middle school, they're probably pretty interested in wondering, who can they sign up if they're not in Girl Scouts? Are there spaces available?
Absolutely. We have spaces available. We are at the really beginning of our registration process. So there are spaces available. It is open to anyone in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade coming into Rising, 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. So by all means, we definitely have room. And just look it up at Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia, gshg.org. Click on camp and you'll see it.
I just want to add to that because we talked about how this is a partnership here, right, between our two agencies. And you said we thought of Girl Scouts because it's Savannah. But this is one of the really beautiful things about this partnership is Girl Scouts has been thinking of innovative ways to expose girls to different opportunities for a long time. So that's why this really marries. And this is how we've created it sustainable going past this camp, right? Every girl that is a part of the camp will become a registered Girl Scout if she is not one already. And that's going to carry her through the year. She will have that membership in Girl Scouts for the year to continue to participate in other opportunities that are available to Girl Scouts.
That's amazing. So I'm wondering, in one sentence, what do you hope that middle school girls will get out of this camp and this experience?
Yeah. Whenever I think about what I hope middle school girls will get out of this experience, I can't help but reflect on my own daughter who is a middle schooler. She is excited about this camp and likely going to join. And I'll use her words. And she said, wait, I'm going to learn things, but I'm not just sitting in front of an instructor talking. And I said, no, ma'am, you're going to be hands-on. And she said, wow, I really feel like those are things I'll learn and be able to really use, Mom. And I said, yes. So in one sentence, my hope is that this will spark something in these girls that they'll be able to take forward with them into the future.
For me, I always have to go back to our basics, which is Girl Scouts builds girls of courage, confidence, and character. And if there's one thing I know every girl is going to get out of this camp, is that they're going to build character, learning how to work with each other, learning how to work with each other under stress. They're going to build confidence in their skills. They're going to be able, as middle schools, rising 7th, 8th, and 9th graders, know that they have an impact on the world. And on top of that, that they have additional choices as they become adult women. So I hope that they gain all of that and more.
Yeah, so to reiterate a little bit of both of what Lorena and Chelsea said, I hope that every girl kind of leaves with finding their passion, finding something that they can truly, take home and that they can't stop thinking about, whether that's being a police officer, a firefighter, or an emergency management professional. And maybe it's none of those, but I hope that they gain that knowledge of, I could do this one day. And I hope they do gain that confidence, because I think that that's a big piece of what this is going to provide. I know at that age, I lacked a lot of confidence. So I hope just in the end, every girl leaves with a little bit more confidence.
Yeah, I think that speaks to Girl Scouts overall, confidence, courage, and making sure that they feel like they can take on anything. So for me, it's the unshakable confidence, knowing that no matter what situation they're thrown in, what class they end up in, what their friends do, they can take it on, and they can take it on with courage, and they can make the world a better place and show up when a lot of the other world may shy away.
That's wonderful. I would have loved something like this as a little girl. What would something like this have meant for you as a young girl?
For myself, something like this would have, I think it would have opened my mind to possibilities. I think
Absolutely.
sometimes when we, go on our same paths and our same circles, we forget that there are other options. And this camp's really going to embody some of those options that girls have.
Wow, for me, I think not only would it have opened doors and knowledge, I just think of some of the skills that you take away from this camp. So, for example, girls will learn how to stop the bleed. Having that skill as you go off and even become a parent is absolutely necessary. So I think I would have gained a lot more confidence and not been so scared at some situations.
Yeah, as a young girl, I was extremely hesitant to share some of my ideas or some of my thoughts. I was scared of saying things or dreaming things that were too big or too crazy. And I think a lot of the time I felt maybe not heard. And so I'm hoping that girls that come into this, again, they're gaining some confidence. I wish that I would have had that at that age. I think hopefully it would have led me to this career a little bit early. Either way, I'm glad I made it here. But I'm hoping that it will introduce them to that a little bit early on.
For me, knowledge is power, Abby. So thinking about the fact that they're going to have that knowledge that I never had access to is going to be huge. Knowing what to do during an emergency situation. I mean, there have been Girl Scouts across the country that have run in and done extraordinary things like saving people out of fires. Imagine what this camp is going to inspire. And I just think, man, had I had an opportunity like that, things might have been a little bit different, or might have been just like this. Who knows? But I think about how incredible that's going to be for the girls that get to experience this camp.
So I want to know, what is one piece of advice you'd either offer yourself as a middle school girl, one of the campers, or to your daughter?
I think I'll keep it short and sweet on this one. The one piece of advice I would give my daughters is not just to dream big, but to know that it is possible and not to be afraid to say yes.
Have a little more faith in yourself and in others. You're not alone. We're here.
Yeah, just trust yourself. Your ideas don't have to be perfect to be powerful. But when you stop shrinking yourself to fit, what's comfortable for others, you'll realize that you are capable all along.
That one.
That was beautiful.
That one hit.
That was beautiful.
I don't want to go after that. No. Yeah. I think for me, it's you can do hard things, and sometimes accepting that you're going to fail and realizing that failure doesn't mean that you've done something wrong, because you're going to learn more from that than always getting it right. So you can do hard things, Abby.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, is there any other last thing that you would like to share our audience with about this camp, or a reminder of the dates again, maybe the website?
Yeah, sure.
Just wrapping it up.
Yeah, so I'll wrap it up with one thing, and then I'll hand it to Lorena to provide that website again. But yeah, this is Camp Operation React. It's going to be the first week of June, so June 1st through June the 5th, and it's going to be a wonderful partnership between all kinds of first response agencies, not only in Chatham County, but beyond. We're bringing in emergency management agency directors and staff from across historic Georgia. And I think that that's not something that we were able to highlight too much here, but watch out, because there's a lot of expertise coming into Savannah, Georgia for this camp.
Look out, world.
Look out, world. And Lorena. Yeah.
So our website is gshg.org. It stands for Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia. We are coming to you live from Camp Low. It is a 300-acre island out in just the glorious Savannah weather.
It's
beautiful. It's
here.
truly beautiful. It is awe-inspiring. So can't wait to see you.
Absolutely. And I just want to give a shout out and a thanks to, we talked about our community partners that were involved in this to make this happen as far as the instructors and stuff like this. But this also would not be possible without our sponsors and our funding from the HCA hospital. So we want to also give a shout out to them and Emergency Management Agency as funders for this camp.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you guys joining us here for this special edition of the chat, and I appreciate our audience to join us as well. And I hope that you can sign up if you have any daughters or granddaughters or anything that would be interested in this camp. I'm Abby Murphy with the Chatham County Public Information Office. Thanks for joining us.